Hello and welcome to the Bourton 10k full POV video, and if you're already a subscriber, welcome back. You may recognise some of the faces here. Yes, there's Tim, the mum, and there are other YouTubers around. I'm having a bit of a bounce with some of the runners there, having an absolutely great time. So chilling out, getting ready for, in my opinion, one of the fastest 10Ks in Britain, and very popular. This event had sold out as it did the previous year, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And there, right in front of you, you'll see Kate Wright from Stratford-upon-Avon Athletics Club. Now, she ran a ladies V60 category win in an astonishing time, and she's currently the fastest lady in Britain of her age group for 10k, a good 2 minutes ahead. So there's Kate in the Stratford run. We've now started it. It's quite congested at the start, as you can see, but there's still plenty of space. Nothing silly. We're not going to do anything extraordinary or change, because we have 2 laps around the village. It is quite beautiful here, and yes, whilst it is congested and there's lots of runners here, as I mentioned, there's over 600 runners had turned up on this day. And there goes Tim on the left at a breakneck speed, obviously much quicker than myself. Now for me, I'm in the thick of marathon training right now, so I'm not doing any 10k specific training. So for me, this is more of a time trial to see what my fitness is like, condition, and whether I could maintain a steady pace. So for me, it was just a case of going at a steady pace running, yes, pushing myself to a point, but not racing eyeballs out and going gung-ho as I've done in other 10k races. So I need to keep myself in shape and not cause any niggles, tweaks, injuries that can sometimes happen during marathon training if I'm going a bit at some crazy speed. But there's a good selection of runners here. Whilst there are some top runners, I think the winner at this particular race was around 31 minutes, which is astonishingly fast. You would have seen other runners that have been passing there. There is a whole cross section, and it is an event open to all. So whatever speeds you do, you can enter. So it's quite open for all. And as I said, that we're at the sort of, I wouldn't say the absolute sharp end, but if you are here for doing a treadmill run for 40 minutes, you're at the right place, because I'm going to take you along on the whole route. And it's, I think if you've seen my vlog for the actual race day, the previous video, a couple of videos before this one, I did have a great day. I do love it here in the Cotswolds, and Bourton on the Water, in my opinion, is one of the top villages in the whole of the Cotswolds. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the top villages to visit, certainly for overseas tourists. This is where you want to come. All that beautiful Cotswold sandstone buildings everywhere, lovely river going through the middle. What more do you want? And the beauty of this race is we are pretty well all done and dusted within a couple of hours. So, you know, even for those runners at the tail end, we're all sort of done and dusted pretty quickly. It was a 9:30 a.m. start, so half an hour earlier than the previous year, but certainly a lot better, in my opinion. The weather was a lot better than last year. Last year was proper Baltic weather, whereas this year it was a bit blowy, but nothing like what the weather forecasters said, which had forecast like biblical weather conditions of torrential rain and strong gusting winds over 50 miles per hour. No, there was none of that. As I say, on one section, I'll talk you through where it was a little bit blowy. Maybe I'm getting too old for all this drama, but it certainly wasn't blowing us over. And looking at the splits that I had throughout the 10k, it was all pretty even. But I'm now getting into my stride. We're coming up to the first K, 1 kilometre, and I'm just minding my speed and just going along. So you can see here, there's no drama. So on the right there, you'll see the sign coming up that will say 1k, the yellow sign. I think we're coming up to it now on the right. Yeah, we've just passed it there. There it is, 1k. So we've now done 1 kilometre, And there's a couple of Western tempo athletes here. These two ladies are going at a steady clip, so I'm now following these ladies, and there's a few people now all sort of beginning to I wouldn't say tire, but some do go off a bit sharpish at the start. And we've got a wheelchair event man there, which is great to see. So as I say, it is inclusive for all people, so whatever your level, I would highly recommend to enter, because if you want to test yourself to see how fast you can go, why not turn up at a beautiful location and a super flat course. Now, it's not totally flat. The purists will say there was a bit of a mild incline, some will say a hill, but I'll talk you through that as we get there, because we're now starting our second lap around the village. Here's one of the Cirencester athletes, which you would have seen from previous year's videos. So we tend to see the similar type athletes taking part, because I think this is one of the premier Gloucestershire County races. In fact, I'm almost sure this is the Gloucestershire 10k Championships. So a lot of the top runners from the clubs around Gloucestershire, like the two ladies here from Western Tempo. You'll also see people from the Bourton Road Runners, and also CLC Striders from Cheltenham, and various other clubs around Gloucester City, naturally, being Gloucestershire. I did see a lot of Gloucester City runners on this course as well, and other areas like Stratford upon Avon. Whilst that's in Warwickshire, it is literally a stone's throw from Bourton on the water. So bringing in people from Warwickshire, Gloucestershire, and myself in Worcestershire. So all the counties there, yeah, the three counties, although technically the three counties is Herefordshire, Gloucestershire, and Worcestershire. And here we're coming over now for completing the second loop of the 10k, and we're going at a good pace. So for me, I tend to run and feel. I'm not looking at my watch at all. I'm just keeping my eye on other athletes, seeing how I feel. And right now, these two ladies here are running at a good pace, and I'm feeling, you know, I'm pushing myself, but nothing overly too strong, because at the end of the day, it's a 10k race. So as we know, going all out too fast is a bit too much. But anyway, we're now over the second time over the bridge, and on my vlog I do mention about that world famous eccentric football game that goes on. I don't know whether it goes on now in current times, because things do change. But we're now moving over to the left of the road, because there are other runners still on the right hand side of the road completing the first lap. So we've now completed 2 laps, and we're now going to head out of the village. But coming back to that eccentric football game, yes, that goes on in the river. Yes, in the river, that's right. Football, for my American friends, soccer. And here's another one of the local. This is Spa Striders from Leamington Spa, again in Warwickshire, one of the close by clubs. So a lot of those. So now we're heading out as I pass the pizza place on the left. No, I didn't stop for that pizza. We're now heading out towards the Cotswold Park. What's it called? There's a bird park there, I think. Penguins, would you believe? Yes, penguins in the Cotswolds. Well, certainly when I last visited a number of years ago, there were penguins in that park. But we're now on the out and back section of road. So we're now heading out of Bourton, and on the part where, if you've ever taken part in the Bourton 1 mile, which I would highly recommend, you'll see that we're running back. So we're running out. It's literally 1 mile race where you go out a mile from the village and literally just run down this road, obviously in the opposite direction, back to the village at full tilt. So we're now progressing at a good pace. One of the Cheltenham athletes there on the left, I can't see what it says on the shirt, but I'm sure that's one of the, not CLC Striders, but one of the other Cheltenham clubs is there. So we're heading out, and you can see there's quite a group in front where we're heading towards. And as I mentioned, sometimes some people do go off quite fast in the first two laps, whereas for me, I tend to try and hold a steady pace and just run at a steady pace. So each kilometre split, whilst I've not shown them on here, and yes, thank you, see, pointing out the potholes, that's very good professional running there, looking out for people who are behind, who may not spot some of the potholes and divots along the road. So great to see the marshals out there applauding us as well. So we're going at a good clip. paces so far of the first kilometre would have been just under 4 minutes per kilometre, and second kilometre literally exactly the same. I'll show you, yeah, pointing out another pothole, thank you very much. I'll show you the splits at the end of the race, and as I say, we're slowly catching up with this quite a big group here. It looks as about 8 to 10 athletes all running together as one group, and we'll see how we progress as I'm now into my stride, into my pace, and I'm feeling good, and I'm thinking, well, should I go or should I not go? We're now passing these athletes. As I say, there's one guy there who's continually glancing at his watch. For me, I personally, and again, everyone has their views about technology. I'm running on feel. How does my breathing feel? How do my strides feel? How's everything feeling? I don't have any headphones on, so I'm literally just listening to my body and running, basically having seen the splits at a metronome pace. Same steady split pace. So these ladies here are doing a great job for me, pacing at a very steady pace here, and we've slowly been catching up with this group. Meanwhile, whilst that group was about 10-12, they're now beginning to spread out. But for me, I'm just running my own time trial. Feels comfortable running with these two ladies, and we're slowly catching up with that other group. There are other runners up ahead, but for me, I'm just focusing literally on myself, looking straight ahead and enjoying the race, because for me, I just love getting out on, it's almost like a big social for me, and having seen so many YouTubers there, it was great to see so many there. So you'll start to see some of the athletes coming back, not for a few kilometres yet, because we do take a right turn as we come off this main road here, but the roads are closed, which is really good. And you can see here, one of the benefits of running these races is that the Bourton road runners do set up an absolutely brilliant race. Having closed roads is a great benefit, and we're heading out, slowly catching up with this group here, and you can see they're all running together as a group, which is great if you're with a group holding that pace. But I'm now beginning to think, well, let's keep going at this pace and keep down the strides. You can see there's an athlete there. It looks like not Pershaw plum plodders, black pear joggers. I'm getting my fruits mixed up, plums and black pears. So there's a Worcester runner there up in front, and also it looks like Northleet Triathlon Club as well. So we've now caught up with that group, so we're going at our pace. 3 kilometres split just there, and again just under 4 minutes. It's around a 3:58 kilometre split. So there you can see the Cotswold Tri Club up in front. Got the Western Tempo ladies here, and there you go, the black pear jogger on the left there, along with another Cheltenham athlete with the white vest in front there. So we're all going together, and I'm thinking, as we're not now passing that, the guys just up in front here, for us to have caught up, we would have been going at a quicker pace. So I'm now feeling I need to start pushing on a little bit, but as there's such a large group here, I'm trying to wait my time to see when's a good opportunity to go over to the right and start overtaking this group, because I do feel that at the time I was feeling that we're maybe slowing a bit. I was feeling, for want of a better word, too comfortable at this pace, so I knew that I could still push on a particular pace to move on from this group. But again, so here we're, and it is a Worcester black pear jogger on the left. I think that's Howard there, another V60 Masters runner. We're coming up to, soon within a kilometre or so, the right turn up to the out and back section on that road. Still feeling good. After all, we've only done 3 kilometres, 3.5 kilometres. How hard can it be? let's check on the paces here so I can give you the split. So we're coming up to the right turn here, and this is where we get the feeling, oh, is there a hill? Now we turn right, you can see a mild incline here. Mild incline. And that's all I would call it, but because we've been used to running on the absolute flat, for some this might feel a bit of a tough hill. But to be honest, it's a mild incline, and looking at my splits there, it's literally hanging on at the same pace. So the splits so far, the first kilometre was at 3:59, the second kilometre was at 3:53, the third kilometre was at 3:58, and let's see what the fourth kilometre split is when we come to the 4K. Now you might notice here's one of the CLC Striders. Now he's going at a slightly quicker clip, so I've basically latched on with him. I do recognise, I think Richard is his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, Richard. Hopefully it's the right name. Now he had number 1 bib on him, so I thought if I'm going to try and win my age category, I've got to run with number 1. So he's going at a slightly quick, and as you can see, we've left that group behind. I'm also seeing a familiar runner up front there, Western Tempo. This is Fee. She's also a brilliant Masters runner from Western Tempo. She was at the Boddington 10 as well and won her age category. So I'm now running with this CLC Strider, although as you can see I'm now between them and I'm now passing them and just about to pass Fee as well. So the road has now flattened out a little, so that mild incline, although as you can see there's still a mild incline, and I'm approaching the Bourton runner. But the CLC Strider, Richard has passed me again, so we're now coming up to the 4th kilometre split. Right, the 4th kilometre split was 3:55, so I've picked up mildly, just a few seconds quicker. So whilst there may have been a mild incline here, I am keeping my pace splits pretty much the same. So the difference between the first kilometre and that kilometre was literally just 4 seconds. So I'm passing here a Bourton road runner, club runner, and we're coming up to the blue and yellow stripe on the left. There is Severn Athletic Club. River Severn, S-E-V-E-R-N. I'm sure that's what the name is after. So the hill, quote unquote, is starting to go up a little. So whilst it's an out and back road, we've not yet seen any other runners coming back. So you can see in the distance quite a group of other runners. So I'm now keeping my steady pace, and we're slowly passing one by one the other runners whilst I'm maintaining my steady pace. So if you were to do the calculations, if I'm running at a steady pace, these guys must be slowing down. So I'm not getting any quicker, I'm just holding the pace. So I'm now in a good pace here with Richard from CLC Striders, Team Striders as it says there, and he's going at a great clip, and I'm just running with him, and I'm feeling comfortable. We're now on what we'd say probably a more flatter part again. So, but for some it might be a bit of an incline, but I don't see much of an incline here. And we're passing on the left here another Team Strider athlete. But we're going together. You'll see the other guy. So I'm guessing Richard here, Team Strider's got his eye on that guy up front there. He seemed to have pulled away from us. So we're now looking to catch him up. But at the same time, as I say, I'm running on field. I don't want to strain myself in any way, and just keep a good steady pace. Now, as I'm not looking at my watch, I have no idea what my splits are. I'm just literally running on feel. And we're coming up to some of the guys on the opposite direction. We should see the lead bike passing any minute now. So we now got back onto what we call a flat section. So any incline has now disappeared, back on the flat section before we have another little mild incline going up. So you can see the water on the surface there. So it was raining the night before, but the forecast 100% wrong of torrential rain and gale force winds. No, there was nothing there. You can see from the trees here, there's nothing blowing here. There was a bit of a breeze. Some of them may have commented of strong winds, but maybe I'm getting old. and I don't feel the wind unless it is cataclysmically strong, which I'd experienced in the 2018 Boston Marathon, having survived that. So there's a number of athletes here who say have been pulling out this, and now I think the third, fourth one I've seen walking on the route. It is a tough route if you are going out for PBs. And there's the lead cyclist passing on the right there, and you'll see the lead runner. Astonishing, that guy, 31 minutes. I don't know the exact seconds, but absolutely brilliant. And you can see there is nobody behind it. Here comes the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth runner, and we're coming up to the 5k split. 5k split time of 3:58. So 3 seconds slower. You'll see in a moment Andy Forrester Dean runner coming through. There he goes, Andy. Well done, Andy. And it looks like a bit of a downhill section here, if anything, before we come back down on the uphill and the turnaround point. So the fast runners are really going through now, and it's still away for me for the turnaround point. Still quite away. Whilst I've been discussing there, we have passed that guy who was ahead of both of us, and we're now coming on a slight uphill incline, ever so slight. I think on the Strava Garmin it was literally just a couple of meters change in the elevation, and we're still plugging away at our steady pace. Feeling good, feeling strong. Isn't that how it should be on the old 10Ks? Yes, it's great hearing people shouting out. So this, I guess this is what would be classed as the steepest part of the race, and a team strider has now just passed in his super fast Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4. Look at those sexy shoes he's gone by in. Those are the latest fastest edition. For me, I'm just in some basic flats. Takumi Sen 10. So literally half the shoe, I think. Certainly half the price. So we do joke about shoes. So now we're coming up to the turnaround point, and you can see Richard FCLC Striders, he has pulled away. So it is a dead turn at the end here. You can see the water aid station was on my right, so when we turn around we'll be picking up water if need be. So we come down, so we've finished that uphill section. We're coming on the downhill bit, over to a cone, dead turn. So you can see the bollards in the middle, signifying the middle of the road, and we turn around on this dead turn here, and here we go. And now we're going to be heading back. So you can see there's quite a lot of runners here that I'd passed earlier, some catching up, some not, but I've got my eye to push on a little. So we had that downhill, now we've got the slight uphill. It's great seeing so many runners here. We are all shouting and cheering each other. And there's the water aid stop if you needed any water. For me, I don't take any water. I did have the question, what do I take for these races? What kind of a breakfast do I have? What do I eat, drink? Well, during the race, I do not eat or drink anything. I'm running too fast to take on anything, even a gel. You know, it might cause me stomach issues, stomach cramps. And as I'm done and dusted in literally under 40 minutes, I think with the science, taking on any gels during the race, I don't think would have any benefits. Sometimes I do take a gel before the race start, depending on how I feel. But for my breakfast, normally a couple of hours before, I'll just have one plain bagel, and that's it, and a cup of tea. Keep it simple. I don't take any bicarb soda, no, none of that. From what I've heard, it only really has benefits for 800 meters, 1500 meter runners, and also it can cause all sorts of stomach issues. But if you want to try it yourself, give it a go. Let me know how you get on. But I'm not going to try that. And any other supplements, I don't take any of those. But that's just me personally. I'm in my 60s. I'll be coming up to 64 in May. and I had my gallbladder removed a few years ago, and anyone who's had their gallbladders removed know that we can get intestinal issues anyway, so yeah, I like to keep it simple. A few of the Worcester AC runners going by in the opposite direction, which is great to see. Now, and there's the wheelchair racer. So 6 kilometre split. I know you're all busting to know what was the 6 kilometre split. Well, it's 3:59 again. So you can see a pretty consistent pacing. So 4 kilometres left to go. 4 kilometres. You'll see the guy on the left there that I've just passed. There's a bit of cat and mouse between me and him as we go along. Now he's running with a bottle of water, and again, everyone races their own race. So I'm now with this guy, trying to hang on his tail. I think so there's a bit of cat and mouse with a number of us, and we've got the chap in front with some really jazzy shorts. I think it's one of the Cheltenham Club runners, and you can see Richard up front, the CLC strider. He's gone well away from me now. He's absolutely gone, and show me a clean pair of heels there. But do I catch up? Do I catch up? So with 4k left to go, and I've got lots of other runners on the right. Some recognise me shouting names, and we all shout and support each other, which is great. And this chap's looking behind his shoulder, wondering who's this catching up. So I was beginning to catch up with this guy, but for me, I'm trying to maintain a consistent effort. So as I mentioned, there's this guy. He's come back at me now. He's running with his bottle, holding his bottle on the right hand side, looking at his watch again. So clearly he's running to what his watch is telling him, and trying to maintain a particular pace. So he's got a goal in mind, aiming at that, which is great if that's how folks want to race. For me, I'm just running on feel, and whilst I'm not chasing him, I'm trying to keep up with him. I'm listening to how I'm doing, but at this point I am now beginning to feel it, not having raced a 10k since Telford 10k, which was back in December, early December. So it's now end of February. That's almost 2 months have passed, and whilst you're doing marathon training, I tend to find that my speed goes down. Whilst the endurance improves, my short-term speed tends to go down. So this is just those shorts that guy's got in front are pretty jazzy, don't you think? Now, yes, you're easily going to get spotted running in those shorts. And the socks, I've just noticed the socks as well. Some nice bright colours there to lighten up the day. So these two guys are keeping me honest. We're now back on the flat section. I think any form of hill has long gone, and we're now going to head back. As I say, some of these guys are walking back from the run. So I've now passed that chap again on the left. As I say, I'm trying to maintain a steady pace, trying to focus on myself, not looking at what others. So the guy in front's glanced at his watch again. So again, he's obviously looked at it thinking too slow, picks up the pace again. I'm just trying to run at my steady pace. So can you guess what kind of split I'll be coming up at 7k? So I'm trying to maintain steady pace, keep it going. There's still a number of runners on the right hand side there doing the out and back section, which is great to see. So we're coming up to the 7 kilometre split. 7 kilometre split, there we go, in a time of 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So I've now picked up a little bit. Maybe I'm being pulled along by these guys, who knows. So I'm doing 3:55 on that 7k split. So the variance is literally so far has been 4 seconds, still maintaining 4 seconds. So I did do a 3:55 on the 4th kilometre. I did do a 3:53 on the 2nd kilometre. So pretty steady. The slowest one so far was 3:59 on the 1st kilometre and 3:59 on the 6th kilometre. Pretty steady, pretty even splits. So we're now heading down this road, and then we'll do a left and head back to Bourton on the Water Village. Now the guy with the jazzy shorts and socks has now pulled well away from me, So him glancing at his watch, it's motivated him to go faster and pick up his pace. So again, I'm not getting a bit crazy, or I say not out and out racing. I'm pushing myself, but the key for me was to maintain a steady pace, which I appear to be maintaining right now. But it's beautiful running along these country roads. I do love it around here. Can't beat the Cotswolds for a wonderful location to be running in. Coming up to the road now, where, as you saw that road sign give way, we're coming up to the road. We're going to turn left and get back onto the main road and head back to the village. So I've got another chap there, North Cotswolds Tri Club. There's our left turn, and we're now heading back towards Bourton village. So there are a few cones out there on the left, keeping away from the potholes. So it's almost like 3.5 kilometre sprint back to the village, but not quite a sprint. Trying to maintain a steady pace, and we're coming up with the guy on the left there. There's a Gloucester City Club runner, the white shirt with the red sash on the back there, and there's also a Western Tempo athlete up front there. They're quite a way in front of me there, but I'm just looking at holding my pace and seeing how we go. And you can see there's quite a line of runners there, all up ahead of me. But for me, again, maintain my pace, maintain the speed. And I think here we have the tail runner. That's it, yeah, that's the tail runner on the right, which is fantastic. So that would have been the tail runner there, Marshall, going along with that runner as well. So nobody's left behind in this race, which is fantastic to see. Nice and safe. But again, closed roads, so nothing really to worry about. But I think most Sundays, having done a number of other races in the Gloucestershire area and Herefordshire, that on a Sunday morning there's not that much traffic to worry about anyway. But something good to know that it is a closed road race. So we're now coming into the village. There's the 30-mile-an-hour sign, so you could say we've passed the village border, crossing into the village. And the guy on the left there, you would have seen, I think we passed this guy on the outward part, and he's now pushing for home. And there's another CLC strider on the left there. So the guy there that I passed, I think around the 5k mark, 6k mark, he's now making a push for the finish line. And you can see the Western Tempo athlete there as well, and the Gloucester City Run athletes on the left there. We're almost running stride for stride, coming up to the 8-kilometre split with 2 kilometres to go. 8-kilometre split, 3:56. So literally within 1 second of the previous kilometre split. So pretty even. Steady as we go. 2 kilometres to go. 2 kilometres to go. Do I start pressing on, or do I just hold my pace? Well, for me right now, I'm holding my pace. Whilst I know there's 2 kilometres to go, that's still a fair way. I can't really sprint. I'm not at that level of sprinting 2 kilometres. I've seen some amazing athletes, considerably younger than myself, run at amazing paces for the last few kilometres. You will see 1 or 2 athletes passing me in the next couple of kilometres. There you see the guy on the right there going again. You will see a few, certainly in the last few 100 metres, you'll see some passing me as well. So we're coming up to the village. Seeing a few familiar faces up ahead. Again, as I mentioned, I've seen other runners from various clubs. Thank you, Marshall. I did see that Marshall at the Race HQ earlier on in the morning, so he's certainly covering the miles, helping with the road closures and keeping people aware of that. So you would have seen that the traffic is being let through because the tail runner has already gone through. They do reopen the roads to allow traffic through. So we're staying on the left, so it's pretty safe for us, but they are allowing traffic through on that one direction. Not the band One Direction, but the traffic going in one direction. back out of Bourton. There's Kate from CLC Striders. I've seen this athlete on a number of events over the years. Top athlete for, I think a lot of the CLC Striders take part in a lot of the cross-country events around the UK. I think Kate's one of the top cross-country runners for CLC Striders, as well as a brilliant road runner. I can now almost not see the finish or smell it, but I know it's there because we've literally got about 1,600 metres, about a mile to go, because we go into the village and then do a final loop. I know you said loop. Final loop around the village, so I know we're literally coming to the village. And here comes the Gloucester Athletic Club runner, who I passed earlier, and he's now making a push for the finish. As I mentioned earlier, you'll see a number of these athletes all pushing through. So whilst I'm passing Kate here at the moment, don't be surprised if you see other athletes pushing through, like this gentleman here just in front. I passed him earlier, now he's passing me. So he clearly has his strategy set, where we're now going to push. I've now glanced at my watch. Yes, I made a look at my watch there, just to see how am I doing time-wise. So I think it did bleep, and I know I've got a kilometre to go, but the Garmin had bleeped. I think people were talking about GPS or whatever. We haven't seen the sign yet that shows the 9 kilometre mark, but I think the GPS was a little ahead on some of them. So now coming up to the 9 kilometre. So yeah, the GPS, the 9 kilometre split. I know you're all busting to know what was a 9 kilometre split. So I did glance at the watch, knowing there's a kilometre to go, but the 9 kilometre split was 3:59. So I had slowed a bit from the 8th kilometre by about 3 seconds according to the GPS. 3:59. So here we are coming into the final stage. I now know, having seen the sign, and the sign is marked correctly, so I know from that sign there's 1 kilometre to go. So I can now start pushing a little bit. So I'm now beginning to put the pedal to the metal. You can see some of the runners there that had passed me. In the distance there, you will see Richard from CLC Striders, who pushed on ahead at around the 6k mark, 7k mark, but he's now in my sight. Now whilst I'm not chasing him down, I'm now pushing. So we're going over the river on one side. You see on the left there, you've got the CLC Strider, and then on the right, the Western Tempo athlete in the orange vest. I'm now beginning to push a little bit. Whilst I've been chatting, I think I passed the Gloucester runner, and he's now passing me again. So I'm not racing him, but I am beginning to push. Not push too hard just yet. I'll tell you where I started pushing. But I think for some people, maybe psychologically, we're thinking, oh, you know, it's too far to go. By now, I think there's still about 800 metres to go, which may not sound much, but when you've already ran over 9k as fast as you can, this is where the 10k really begins to bite. And if you've overcooked it early on, this is where you're done and dusted. If you looked at the previous year's video, I'm passing a guy who's literally been toasted and he's completely out of energy from before we entered the village. Literally nothing left in his legs, and this is where, if you have gone out too hard, and this is where it gets really tough. But we've maintained a steady pace. You can see all the athletes in front are maintaining a super fast pace here. I'm not catching any of them up. We're all running almost together, stride for stride, pace for pace. Coming in. Now I can smell the finish line. I know that the finish line is about 600 metres to go. 600 metres, and there's Richard, CLC Striders. Is he tiring? The other runners have passed him, and as I mentioned, sometimes psychologically when people are passing you, you tend to slow down without realising. Now is Richard done? Do I catch up with him? Well, let's see how we progress. We're coming down into another section. So here's one of his fellow CLC striders who's now passed me, so he's pushing on. He's clearly got his sights on Richard. We're coming to the last 400 metres. Less than 400 metres. Yes, glance at watch. I've glanced at my watch thinking, how much have I got to go? Because I want to make sure that I get under my 40 minutes. What split do I have on my final kilometre? I'm now passing the lady on the right, Western Tempo, over the bridge for the last time. One more glance at the watch. Seconds to go. I've got these two young guys in front of me. Am I going to go for it? I'm now going for it. I'm catching up with Richard. I'm catching up with Richard. We've got the home straight. Oh, he's gone. He's left me for dust. Yes, these guys, you can see the finish line coming up. On the left, you'll see the clock. I'm coming up under 40 minutes, but what time? The clock says 39:53. Wow. That was, excuse me, even though I'm coughing as I finished, that was something. The final kilometre split was 3 minutes 50. The fastest kilometre of them all. Although there was a 260 metre on the GPS, and there's Fee. Well done, Fee. Western Tempo, brilliant running. I'm looking at my splits here. It did show an extra 260 metres, which I ran in a split of 3:33. I do like congratulating people as they finish over the line, coming in behind me, and it's great cheering them on and seeing all sorts of runners. So here we've got, as I'm applauding one of the 7 runners, but also a man from Bourneville Harriers. There's another CLC strider. Howard from Black Pear Joggers. Fantastic running. And then you'll see John coming in. Yes, John Broom. Fantastic running. Whoa, as we all shake hands and clap. What a great run from everyone. And then just on the right there, we'll see it's on Andy coming in shortly. Just a little over 41 minutes. Just shy from his PB. But he has run an amazing, literally a couple of weeks ago. Here he is. It's on Andy. Well done, Andy. Superb running. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this full POV race of the Bourton 10K 2025. If you have enjoyed it in some way, please do give this a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the alarm bell. And I look forward to seeing you all at the next race, video, whatever it may be, and leave some comments below how you got on if you were racing, or if you're looking forward to taking part in the race next year. Thank you, tatty bye.